500 billion euros. That's how much the new government wants to invest in the future of Germany. Our soon-to-be Chancellor Friedrich Merz said he is willing to do
whatever it takes
to make Germany an economic powerhouse again. I'm wondering, is this record-breaking 500 billion euro mega investment really the solution? Or will it make things even worse? Because if the government borrows big, someone has to pay for that eventually. Let's find out if you and I might end up paying for it, and if the new government will increase our taxes. Exactly 1 month ago, we had elections here in Germany, and the most likely coalition that will run the show for the next 4 years will be the Christian Conservative Union of CDU and CSU and the Social Democrats SPD. Earlier this month, both parties published their Sondierungspapier as a first step towards forming a coalition, which includes the 500 billion euro special fund, Sondervermögen in German. What do they want to spend the money on and who pays the bill? You will be surprised. And if you have 500 billion euro too, or less, and don't know what to do with it, we might have great tips for you when it comes to saving taxes, insurance, investing, pensions, real estate and mortgages. You can book a free meeting with us right here. The first of 4 spending blocks is that 100 billion will go into the Klima- und Transformationsfonds. That was leveraged from the Green Party to agree to the Sondervermögen now, before the new government takes over in a couple of weeks. As the Green Party is in the current old government, their approval was needed if the new government wants to get the Sondervermögen on the way as soon as possible, which they did last Tuesday. So smart move from the Green Party to double the funding for a green Germany right before they get thrown out of the new government. The remaining 400 billion will be spent on the other 3 spending blocks, the first one being infrastructure. And oh boy, is an investment here needed badly. Last year the Carola-Brücke in my hometown Dresden collapsed in the middle of the night. About half the streets in some German states are in poor or very poor condition. And let's talk about the Deutsche Bahn. The goal of Deutsche Bahn is to have 70% of trains arrive on time. Not 100%, which would be their job. No, 70%. They failed because it was 67% only last year. And picture what on time means in their definition. A delay of up to 15 minutes. Imagine you go to your boss and say, "Hey boss, I will do 70% of my job way past every deadline that you give me, and for that I want double the salary." Because that's what the Deutsche Bahn CEO got with the worst performance in over 10 years. I would pay to see that conversation. And we could go on and on. Hospitals are closing left, right and center. We are far behind in digitalization. German pupils are performing worse than ever. Let's agree that Germany needs infrastructure investments badly before I get a heart attack. And come to the second to last spending block, the economy. Germany was once the export world champion and the economic powerhouse of Europe. We might still be in the middle of a recession for the 2nd year in a row, and I don't know about you, but to me it feels that we just rested on old achievements rather than making new ones, just like with the infrastructure before. So the 500 billion euro Sondervermögen will almost certainly be a big step in the right direction. The German Institute for Economic Research calculated the impact on the German economy and expects us to grow by over 3% again. And by the time economic growth goes down again in 2030, we have a new government in place that is supposed to come up with new ideas to leverage the growth anyway. This looks good, and this would also catapult us from the bottom of the G20 list straight to the top above the US with double the growth rate of China. Let's talk about the spending block that is probably the most controversial one: defense. While previous governments spent around 1% of the German gross domestic product on defense, the new government wants to double that to achieve the spending target of NATO. Not sure about you guys, but I would appreciate if we can come back to peace again and spend the money on something meaningful instead of weapons to kill each other with. The billions and billions would be much better spent upgrading our schools or making sure that retirees don't have to collect bottles from trash cans after working their ass off for 40 years. PERFINEX stands for Personal Finance for Expats, so let's talk about money and answer the question, who pays for all of this? Because someone has to pay the 500 billion euro bill. And I hope it's not you or me with taxes. Or is it? The good news is that both the Union and the SPD want to lower income taxes. That's at least what they went campaigning with before the elections. And the SPD makes it very specific that the bottom 95% of income taxpayers should pay less taxes than they do right now. That would be everyone with a net salary of up to 78,000 euro, according to a study from the Bundesbank, which equals a gross salary of roughly 137,000 euros. That's a lot of money, but don't worry if your salary is lower. You can still become a millionaire. Just follow the tips I give you in this video and you will do very well for yourself. With the SPD being a center-left party, it's no wonder they want to relieve the overall population and tax the rich. The top 5% earners should pay more income taxes. Investors should pay personal income tax instead of 25% capital gains tax. When selling real estate, you should pay taxes even after 10 years. When inheriting or gifting very large assets, people should pay more taxes, and people with very high net worth should pay more taxes too. Now the SPD doesn't specify what very high means in numbers exactly, which is pretty good when it comes to forming a stable coalition with the center-right union of CDU and CSU, because they promise lower taxes instead of higher taxes. Everyone should pay less income taxes, no matter if you're in the top 5% or not. Companies should pay maximum 25% taxes, which means they have more money to invest and create jobs. If you work overtime, your salary for those hours should be paid out completely tax-free. They don't want any solidarity tax. And if you want to invest in the 500 billion euro Sondervermögen, there should be some form of benefit. So the SPD wants some tax increases for some people, the Union wants lower taxes for other people. But there are also some tax reliefs they agree on. Lower energy prices by decreasing the energy tax, lower VAT when visiting the restaurant, and even more tax benefits when you get a pension plan for yourself. So, tax reliefs all over the place, at least for most people. But just in case the new government will indeed raise taxes, here are some hidden tax benefits that will help you save a lot of money. Lower taxes, but the government needs to come up with 500 billion euros. How is that supposed to work? I think the strategy here is pretty obvious and it could be a genius one, because a rising tide lifts all boats. And that's why I am confident that the tax reliefs both parties promised during the elections will actually happen. The new government would rather have less from a big pie than more from a small pie. And that's why both parties want us to work productively and to produce, to invest here in Germany and to build here in Germany, so the pie gets bigger for everyone. The 500 billion euro mega investment could be the start of a ripple effect that leads to a massive economic growth like the German Institute for Economic Research calculated. And if you want your financial future to grow the same way the German economy will, you can watch this video right now and book a free meeting with us right here.